We are 2 weeks and 1 day from general election. But for those of you who want a head start, early voting begins today in Idaho. And you can do that in several places around Ada County, for example. Several city halls are available to you if you want them. But in most counties, it's either going to be the courthouse, the clerk's office, or the elections office. You can kind of look those up. For others, early voting consists of filling out an absentee ballot and then sending them back to your county clerk. That process, sending mail-in ballots back, has prompted questions from you at home about, well, attaching postage. Do you need to get a stamp for that ballot, or is it already paid for? Depends where you live. Here's Joe Paris.
Polls are open for early and absentee voting in Idaho, and folks looking to send their absentee ballot back want to know about who pays postage on ballots sent through the mail. Billy writes to the 208, the mail-in ballots came with a disclaimer that the county would not pay for any postage or postage due on received ballots. Elvin says, do I need postage on an absentee ballot if I use a drop box? And how much postage is required if mailed? Pandemic-era elections saw temporary but significant changes on things like absentee voting, but many functions are now back to normal. So for the current lay of the land, we checked in with Chief Deputy Secretary of State, Chad Houck.
The big question from our viewers is, we're getting our absentee ballots now. Do I need to put postage on it to send it back?
Well, you absolutely need to at least look at the envelope and pay very close attention. And the reason I say that is there's no universal blanket law that says that that counties have to either pay or not pay that return postage. It is not required for the county to send those out postage prepaid. So the most common answer is yes, you should expect to, for the opportunity to mail your ballot back in as an absentee voter, pay that postage yourself.
So, two examples for you. In Ada County, voters will get this handy leaflet with their ballot. And if you look at the top right of the info page, in bold, you'll read, there is required postage to send the absentee ballot back. Voters may remember, Ada County postage was covered in COVID election, but voting by mail was the only option there. So that's why they covered it. But what about on the other side of the county line?
If you're a voter in Canyon County, do you need to put your own postage on an absentee ballot?
No. Canyon County, as long as I've been here 10 years, and I think we've always prepaid for return postage on absentee ballots, and that's the same for this election here. So no, if you live in Canyon County, you requested an absentee ballot, you do not need to put a stamp on your return envelope.
Joe Decker is a spokesman for Canyon County elections. He says the included postage helps promote voter engagement.
Absolutely. Make it as easy as possible for everybody to vote. As easy as possible to get your absentee ballot back. And so far, we've had over 16,000 absentees requested, which is really good. We're also doing early voting this week and next week. We've had about 400 people through today, which is a pretty good number, so we hope that continues.
But wait. Isn't there a portion of Idaho law that says election clerks should include postage for absentee ballots? Idaho Code 34-308 says in part, the clerk shall issue a ballot by mail to every registered voter in a mail ballot precinct and shall affix postage to the return envelope sufficient to return the ballot. Houck says the key phrase there is in a, quote, mail ballot precinct, and that does not apply to a lot of areas in Idaho.
What does that specific portion of Idaho Code mean, and what is a mail ballot precinct in this conversation?
So Idaho Code 34308 talks about mail ballot precincts, and mail ballot precincts are a very specific, very niche carve out in Idaho Code that was designed to address very small precincts in rural areas. It says that if you have a precinct that has less than 140 voters in the previous general election cycle, that the county commissioners can then ascribe that as a mail ballot precinct. That means that the only way that voting is going to happen is by a mail ballot, but it's because there's a very small rural group of individuals where putting a polling location central to that just isn't economically or reasonably feasible. That's the only place that it applies. In that case, because it's not the voter's decision to get that absentee ballot, but rather a decision made for them by the commissioners.
So, to answer the other half of Elvin's question, if you are dropping off the ballot at an Ada County drop box site, for example, you don't need the postage because those drop boxes, they're not mail delivery boxes. They're securely picked up and watched by election offices and officials. And yes, there's video equipment and monitoring on the boxes. So, there you go. And Brian, I know there's another question. What if you you send it with no postage?
What if you mistakenly drop it in not a drop-off box, but a mailbox, and you think, oh, I forgot to put a stamp on it?
So here's the deal. At that point, it's in the hands of the Postal Service. What we do know is that the United States Postal Service, they do treat election mail as a special classification. So if hypothetically you put your absentee ballot in the mail, you didn't have a stamp on it, there's a chance it gets back, there's a chance that it doesn't. So the best thing to do in that situation, you track your ballot online, Idaho Votes, and from there you would see, okay, if it never made it back by Election Day, then you'd want to go in and make sure you vote in person.
Okay, thanks, Joe.
There you go.